is not about breaking parts anymore.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the LAIR, and today we're back in Historic Best of 1. I call this one Genesis Extinction. But before we get into it, I just want to say if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It's free to you and helps us out so much. Feel free to drop me a comment, talk about strategy, deck ideas, misplays. I read the comments daily. And if you have any friends or family that are into Magic, please share the channel with them. Also, don't forget, if you are going to be a new follower or subscriber on either my Twitch or YouTube channels, once you've done so, just reach out to me in the chat or the comment and say something like, hey, I just subscribed or followed, and I can respond to you with an in-game code that you can use in Arena to unlock a mystery gift from Wizard. So very excited to be able to offer that to you guys. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. So this is a TEMUR color scheme. It's going to be red, green, and blue. It's a control style deck. We're going to start in Yorion, of course, is going to be our companion, so we have 20 more cards than starting. We're running 80 cards. Other than that, he is a 4/5 flyer, and when he enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you own and control, and return those cards to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. Onto the 2-drops, we have 2 copies of Fae of Wishes. This is an adventure card. So the adventure side at sorcery speed, granted, you may reveal a non-creature card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand. And then the creature side, she's a 1/4 with flying, and we can activate her ability, discard 2 cards, and return Fae of Wishes to its owner's hand. Running 3 copies of Tails and instant speed, counter target activated ability, triggered ability, or legendary spell. Running the full playset of Explorer. At sorcery speed, you may play an additional land this turn and draw a card. Running the full playset of Growth Spiral at instant speed. Draw a card and you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Running 2 copies of Shatterskull Smashing or Shatterskull the Hammer Pass. So it can either enter as a land if we pay 3 untapped and produce red mana, or at sorcery speed, it deals X damage divided as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, Shatterskull Smashing deals twice X damage divided as you choose among them instead. Running 2 copies of Hydroid Krasis. He has flying and trample, and when you cast this spell, you gain half X life, draw half X cards, round down each time, and Hydroid Krasis enters the battlefield with X/1/1 counters on it. Onto the 3-drops, we have the full playset of Blood Sun. It's an enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, we draw a card, and all lands lose all abilities except for mana abilities. We're running 1 copy of Bala Ged Recovery or Bala Ged Sanctuary. It enters the battlefield tapped and produces green mana, or at sorcery speed, we can return target card from our graveyard to our hand. We're running the full playset of Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. He's a 6/6, and unless he escaped, we sacrifice him. And when he enters the battlefield or attacks, we gain 3 life, draw a card, and then we may put a land card from our hand onto the battlefield. And then we can later on pay his escape cost and exile 5 other cards from our graveyard and bring him back to the battlefield. There's actually some warm-ups in there. Why don't you eat some pizza or something?
Oh.
Just don't make a mess, Bruce.
Okay, got it.
Sorry about that. My son was asking about lunch. Okay, so onto the 4-drops. We have 2 copies of God Eternal Kefnet. He's a 4/5 with flying, and his static ability says you may reveal the first card you draw each turn as you draw it. Whenever you reveal an instant or sorcery card this way, copy that card, and you may cast the copy that copies the cost for 2 less to cast. So basically makes it 2 less to cast, and makes an additional copy. And then, of course, when God Eternal Kefnet dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into its owner's library, 3rd from the top. We have 2 copies of Mythos of Illuna. This is a sorcery that says create a token that's a copy of target permanent, and if red or green were used to cast a spell and it's a creature, it enters the battlefield with it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. And then finally, 4 copies of Storm's Wrath at sorcery speed. Storm's Wrath deals 4 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Onto the top end, we have 2 copies of Shark Typhoon. It's another enchantment that says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. Then we can pay its cycling cost, and when we cycle it, we create an XX blue shark creature token with flying. We're running the full playset of Haphazard Bombardment. It's an enchantment that says when it enters the battlefield, choose 4 non-enchantment permanents you don't control and put an aim counter on each of them. At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more permanents you don't control have an aim counter on them, destroy one of those permanents at random. We have 1 copy of Seagate Reborn or Seagate Restoration, so it can either enter the battlefield untapped unless we pay 3 life and produces blue mana, or at sorcery speed, draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand plus 1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. We're running 3 copies of Star of Extinction. It's a sorcery. Destroy target land, and then Star of Extinction deals 20 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. We're running 3 copies of Genesis Ultimatum. At sorcery speed, look at the top 5 cards of your library, put any number of permanent cards from among them onto the battlefield and the rest into your hand, and then exile Genesis Ultimatum. And then finally 1 copy of Ugin, the Spirit Dragon. He comes in at 7 loyalty. His +2 says he does 3 damage to any target. His -X, exile each permanent with converted mana cost X or less, that's 1 or more colors, and then his -10, you gain 7 life, draw 7 cards, then put up to 7 permanent cards from your hand onto the battlefield. So let's briefly talk about the mana base before we get into the sideboard. We have the full playset of Steam Vents, the full playset of Sulfur Falls, the full playset of Rootbound Crag, the full playset of Stomping Ground, the full playset of Breeding Pool, the full playset of Hinterland Harbor, the full playset of Ketria Triome, and the full playset of Lotus Field, and including our Seagate, our 2 Shatters, and 1 Bala Ged. That's what, 3, 4 more, so that's 36 lands total. The deck has a 3.9 converted mana cost, running 10 creatures, and 32 lands, technically 36. So let's talk about the sideboard briefly. So because of Fae of Wishes, we can access the sideboard at any time. We're not playing we're not playing best of 3 today. We're playing best of 1, but we do have access to the sideboard, so that's why we're going over it. I have 1 copy of Graph Digger's Cage artifact that says creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries. 1 copy of Sylvan Awakening. Until your next turn, all lands you control become 2/2 elemental creatures with reach, indestructible, and haste, and they're still lands. 1 copy of Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. He comes in at 4 loyalty, and his static ability says if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. And then his +1 says target player mills 2 cards, draw a card. And then his -8, draw 7 cards. Then if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. 1 copy of Tamio, Collector of Tales. She comes in at 5 loyalty, and her static ability says spells and abilities your opponents control can't cause you to discard or sacrifice permanents. Her +1 ability says choose a non-land card name, then reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put all cards with the chosen name from among them into your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. And then her -3, return target card from our graveyard to our hand. I have 1 copy of Patient Rebuilding. It's an enchantment, and at the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent mills 3 cards. Then you draw a card for each land card put into the graveyard that way. 1 copy of Chandra, Awakened Inferno. She comes in at 6 loyalty, and this spell cannot be countered. Her +2 says each opponent gets an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 1 damage to you. Excuse me. Her -3, Chandra, Awakened Inferno, deals 3 damage to each non-elemental creature. And then -X, Chandra, Awakened Inferno, deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a permanent dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. 1 copy of Kiora, Best the Sea Gods. This is an enchantment saga. The first chapter says create an XX blue Kraken creature token with hexproof. The second chapter, tap all non-land permanents target opponent controls. They don't untap during their controller's next untap step. And then the final chapter, gain control of target permanent and opponent controls, untap it. I have 1 copy of Planewide Celebration. At sorcery speed, choose 4. You may choose the same mode more than once. We either create a 2/2 We return target permanent card from our graveyard to our hand. We proliferate, or we gain 4 life. 1 copy of Sandworm Convergence, another enchantment that says creatures with flying can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of your end step, create a 5/5 green worm creature token. An additional copy of Ugin. 1 copy of Omniscience. This is an enchantment that says you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. 1 copy of Banefire. At sorcery speed, Banefire deals X damage to any target. If X is 5 or more, the spell can't be countered and the damage can't be prevented. 1 copy of Finale of Revelation. At sorcery speed, draw X cards. If X is 10 or more, instead shuffle your graveyard into your library, draw X cards, untap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. And then we exile Finale of Revelation. And then finally, 1 copy of Mass Manipulation. At sorcery speed, gain control of X target creatures and or planeswalkers. So basically what this deck is trying to do is we're trying to ramp into a Blood Sun. Once we have our Blood Sun down, we want to abuse Lotus Field so that it comes into play untapped, and it also produces 3 mana when it taps. And that also goes for our Ketrias and our any of our shock lands. If we have a Blood Sun down, these come into play untapped and they still tap for their mana. So it gets pretty nutty. Also draws us an additional card. But anyways, we're ramping. And then what we're really trying to do is slam a bunch of haphazard bombardments and hopefully copy them with a God of Eternal Kefnet for free. So if we can get several of these out on the board, the opponent pretty much can't play anything because we just keep putting counters on all of his threats. Shark Typhoon can also get nutty in combination with a lot of this. Then at the top end, we also have more draw, if you will, in Genesis Ultimatum to help us pull even more of these top end permanents down. We have Fae of Wishes to access our sideboard depending on our situation and what we're dealing with. Ugin is our game ender. We have control in our Storm's Wrath and our Star of Extinction. Besides obviously our Haphazard Bombardment, but these are our spells. And once again, if we have a God Eternal Kefnet and we top deck a Storm's Wrath, this spell costs 2, and we copy it. So it's like getting an additional card for free that costs cheaper. Same thing with Star of Extinction. And because of God Eternal's second ability, we don't care if we cast any of these spells because he can never die and he can never be exiled once he's on the battlefield. He can be bounced, but that's a different story. Mythos of Illuna is just such a busted card. It's just it's so well in this deck. Imagine having a God Eternal Kefnet out, and then you draw into a Mythos of Illuna. You cast it for 2. You copy one of your Haphazards or a Shark Typhoon. It's just pretty crazy. And then our creatures of choice, obviously, besides God Eternal Kefnet, he can also obviously copy these smaller spells. We won't really usually get a benefit of being cheaper except for maybe Explore, but he can copy them, so it's like an additional copy. And then our low-end creatures, we have our Uro to help us stabilize with card draw. He kind of does it all. This card, I'm surprised it's not banned yet, so we're still playing it. Helps us gain life, draw a card, helps us ramp. Hydroid Krasis kind of bridges everything in the mid-game to help us draw some more cards and gain some life. I think I talked about everything. Other than that, that's pretty much it. That's what we're looking to do. Also, Yorion, a couple of cool synergies with him, obviously. If we have, let's say, for instance, a Blood Sun down, we can rebounce the Blood Sun to draw an additional card. Same thing with Haphazard Bombardment. We can bounce the Haphazard and put more aim counters on stuff, so we can keep going with that. We can bounce our Ugin, obviously, to give him more loyalty. Wouldn't really be interested in bouncing an Uro, obviously, if he's escaped and on the battlefield, and we don't want to bounce the Hydroid because then he doesn't have counters and he dies. And then we have a couple other things that we can bounce. This sideboard is completely jank. I was just looking to have fun. It's not really more practical. Like, you could get rid of a Patient Rebuilding and put in Sorcerer's Spyglass. You could probably put in a couple copies of Sorcerer's Spyglass. But yeah, that's the deck. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's hop into some games. Let's see if we can do some evil things. Alright, so we have a 4-lander here. We have a Blood Sun, we have a Storm's Wrath, we have an Explorer. We're going to keep this for sure. So our first play, I think, will be Breeding Pool tapped, and then we'll play Sulfur Falls so we can explore. Okay, so we'll play Breeding Pool tapped, pass. Opponent's on rule as of right now, so we'll explore. Go into a Shark Typhoon. I think the Shatterskull is more important here as a land. Wolf Willow, okay, opponent's ramping himself. So I'm curious to see what this is. So we'll play Blood Sun. Let's play out these Steam Vents. See how the Steam Vents came into play untapped? Oh shit. Well, we just helped him out. Alright, so it looks like the opponent's playing some type of enchantment control, which is the only thing we're weak against in this deck. But we still do have Ugin, so we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Still not enough to Shark Typhoon, but we can hold up. We can hold up the cycle. Ugh, we were totally helping our opponent out. Cast a non-creature spell, Cindervine deals 1 damage to that player. So I would imagine it would be more valuable to get the Shark Typhoon out, right? It's fine. Because now he has to start spending mana to... I wonder if he's probably running Haphazard Bombardment too. Alright, cool. We get rid of Cindervines. I wonder what type of other removal spells he's using. Another Blood Sun. So I guess this is just who gets Ugin first. But we are only running 1 copy in the main deck. We do have access to our sideboard though with Fae, so we'll see what happens. There's our own Lotus Field. Okay. Let's explore. Okay, now we have our Fae. Okay, Anger of the Gods, sure. I mean, I guess he could be playing technically any color removal with the Lotus Field, so... Cindervines again. Drawing a lot of cards. He's got 4 mana floating. Bala Ged, okay. So let's Fae here. Sure. What's gonna be the biggest thing here? If I grab Sylvan Awakening, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. That's not enough to kill him. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We could grab Finale of Revelation. Chandra. But he's... let's do Finale. And... let's pull Yorion. And pass. Pretty cool deck, though. Okay, opponent's cycling. Chandra. Counter that. Oh no, we can't counter that. But we can counter her activated ability. Okay. Could double Storm's Wrath, but that seems like a waste. But because we don't have enough to do the big finale. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we're at 9. So let's Storm's Wrath. Sure.
If you want to fight, you got it.
I'm sure he has another Chandra.
Well, I'm fresh out of fuel.
But he probably could just be dead here to, like, I don't know what type of deck this is. He's got all of his Lotus Fields out now. Another Blood Sun. Lotus. What a cool deck. Oof. Let's play Ugin. See if he has any shocks or anything like that. Do -3.
Not a destination.
Oh, okay. He's just gonna burn us out. Wait.
Return to the
What the hell did... Why didn't he just kill me?
I have greater
Hydroid Krasis would be nice. I mean, he could have just killed us before. I think he misclicked on there. He could have killed us before. But we were dead there anyways. I couldn't have gained enough life to stay alive. Really cool deck, though. I like that. Alright, let's hop into another one. Sorry, that first match was so long. OP Sing. Alright, so we got a 3-lander, technically 4. We got a Storm's Wrath, a Haphazard, Wookiee. So it looks like turn 1 Stomping Ground, turn 2 Sulfur Falls, draw into a Hydroid, which is nice. White, red. Okay, we will hold up the growth spiral and we'll Ketria on our opponent's turn. Ketria down. Yeah, pass. Glorious Anthem. Okay. It's so funny, it's like that's the one thing we're weak against. But opponent's getting into some dangerous territory here. Guess we could just haphazard the lands. Surely he has enchantment removal. The red looks pretty important though. Vanishing Light, sure. The counters stay though, so when we play another haphazard, it'll start targeting those as well. Ketria, we'll pass. Okay. Wow, these are okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll Hydroid for 6. I'm sure it will get enchantment removed, but we get to draw our cards. And looks like we're gonna be searching for a Ugin. And then we get our haphazard back again. So first things first, we attack. It's Blood Sun. Fae here. Ugin. Let's pull an Yorion. Why not? Got him. That was a little bit more like it. Opponents seemed to be kind of mana screwed there, so that could have had something to do with it, but take it. Still can't get over that first deck we played though. It was so cool, right? So the enchantment was his draw engine, and then he added just a bunch of control. I like. Okay, so we have a 4-lander here, looks like. No early ramp. But you know, we got a Lotus Field, so I think we keep this. Opponent plays a Temple of Silence, one at the bottom. There's an Uro. Uro is nice. We like Uro. We'll have this enter tapped. No, don't quit. Prepusitator. Prepusitator? Alright. Top into another one. Okay. Alright, so we have a 2-lander here, but we do have a growth spiral. We'll keep it. Why not? Fighting our brother here. Prometheus. Like the Lotus Sleeve. Okay, opponent plays a Ketria. We do draw into a land, which is... What is going on today? Salinity Vision. Zadkiel. Alright, so we have a 2-lander here. This is not a keepable hand. Way too much expensive stuff, and without an additional land, Lotus Field, we'd have to sacrifice 2. So we'll have to mulligan this. Seems much better. We at least have an Explore. We have the Lotus Field. I guess we ship the Mythos. So we'll keep this, and we'll drop the Mythos. Okay, we'll play Breeding Pool. Tapped, turn 1. Turn 2, we'll Hinterland into an Explore. Okay. Explore. Draw a card. Play a land. Type of mono green. Okay, he's ramping. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana next turn. Storm's Wrath would be so good. Well, let's play Lotus Field. Let's sack these two. Now at least we can Storm's Wrath next turn. Or we could even play Kefnet to get a blocker out there. Definitely going to be Storm's Wrathing for sure. Take the 4. Play out our Stomping Ground tap. Next turn we can Haphazard. Seems legit. Oh, we can't yet. Shit. We'll get out God Eternal. It'd be a nice blocker for the meantime. Guano or Visionary, sure. Alright, next turn we can Haphazard. So I think we'll name Scavenging in all of his lands. Definitely gotta name the Scavenging. Alright, come on in. Got a block here. So we'll name Scavenging, you, and you. I think this Shatterskull will come into handy next turn. Do you have a creature? Please no creature. Does have a creature. He does have the questing. So Shatter, I have 2, 3, 4. That's 4. That's not enough. Shatter for 4, fuck, 2. No, but then he eats it. 6, 7. Hit the Scavenging, please. I guess we could Tails end the... for sure. we play God Eternal. Blocker. Okay. Please no questing beast off the top. Lot of card draw off that visionary with the henge. Three, four, five. No attacks. Nice. We tried. That was a tough one. That was a tough one. I still love playing this deck though. I love me some jank. What can I say? Alright, let's do one more. Alright, so we have a 3-lander here with the Blood Sun, but we don't have any red mana. It's a risky keep. We can always play it. And then if we don't draw a red source, we can just sack these two and then Blood Sun. Feels bad, but alright, keep. Could be a colorless. Definitely not colorless. Alright, starting off with a Cauldron. We'll play out the Seagate, tapped. Priest. Well, there's our red source. Jund. Jund sacrifice. Alright. So let's shock here. Play Blood Sun. Maybe. Oh, beautiful. So next turn we can play Lotus Field, double our mana pool, and then Haphazard, I guess, all of his lands. And the Priest. The green looks important. There's a Roche Rider. Then you're gonna. Oh, you just have another one. Okay. Alright. So, haphazard, I guess. Maybe. Next turn we can star. Yep. Next turn we can star anyways. Might be able to just kill us anyways with the cat. 6. Oven. Another Lotus Field. Let's do a star. Let's name you. No, phase 2 valuable, right? Next. If we hit that oven, we could be okay. But we haven't been drawing any of our Uros, we haven't been drawing any of our Hydroid. That gives us 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Is there anything in the sideboard that's worth it? Has to be, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. Off from that. Kiora. Doesn't do it. For graph diggers. Okay, down to 1. Play the Fae, I guess. Put Yorion into our hand. I don't know. If he has another cat, we're dead. If he has a claim the firstborn, we're dead. Yeah. Not a good game. No good game for you. Alright. Looks like we definitely need more removal in this deck. I just don't have a lot of like other stuff like Sweltering Suns or Anger of the Gods. And I'm trying to save up my wilds for the next Kaldheim set. So that was really the only thing that I would really change. I think we also got a little unlucky there. We're drawing a lot of cards and we weren't really hitting any of our Uros. We weren't really hitting any of our Hydroid. But then again, I did keep some pretty risky takes. It's a tricky deck to navigate that mono scheme with those Lotus Fields, because when they work beautifully, and when they don't, you kind of get screwed. So yeah, love the deck. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave it at that. Just saying once again, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It's free to you and helps us out so much. Feel free to drop me a comment, talk about strategy, deck ideas, misplays. I read the comments daily. And if you have any friends or family that are into Magic, please share the channel with them. Also, don't forget, if you are going to be a new follower or subscriber on either my Twitch or YouTube channels, once you've done so, just reach out to me in the chat or the comment and say something like, hey, I just followed or subscribed, and I can respond to you with an in-game code that you can use in Arena to unlock a mystery gift from Wizards. So very excited to be able to offer that to you guys. One last thing, I will be taking part in the early access streamer event for Kaldheim 24 hours before the release. So stay tuned for that. I'm putting some janky lists together, so yeah, something to look forward to. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.